It's one of the things that I think I did right, and I would recommend to any dad that's going through it, or that eventually goes through the divorce. Focus on yourself, and focus on yourself and your growth.
Yeah. So I mean, let's start it off. I mean, introduce yourself, and then just tell a little bit about your story.
Sure. My name is Eduardo Bracco Alfaro is my name at birth. I go by my middle name usually Bracco, and I came to the U.S. When I was 10, back in 1991, which makes me 43. And yeah, man, just I like to say that I love math, and I think I'm a hilarious jokester. I don't know that everybody agrees with it. I got dad jokes or bad jokes, however you want to say it. Also have three daughters, two from my ex-wife, one
Yeah.
from an ex-girlfriend, and having nonstop fun with all those dynamics, I go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was first, the ex-wife or the ex-girlfriend?
The ex-wife,
The
yeah,
ex-wife. Okay.
yeah, it's actually a fun story, or I think it's a romantic start. Obviously, the end is not a happy ending, but we met. She was born in China. She was raised in Guatemala. We both went to the same university, and I saw her in junior year. She walks in. I'm a typical college student, super broke too. And so I'm like, I don't even know that I showered. My hair was sticking up. I was wearing the same thing I wear every day. And I saw a bunch of guys sitting on her, like, no, 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 today's not my day. Um, let me comb my hair at least, right? And wear something semi-decent. So a couple of days later, I saw her again. I sat close to her. In fact, she sat in the same row as me, and there was a good friend of mine sitting in between us. And I said, hello, hi, my name is Eduardo. I used to call myself Eduardo so that people could repeat my name in the U.S. It's actually Eduardo. And she said, oh, Eduardo. And when she pronounced it right,
Said it correctly.
she said it correctly. Tell my friend
Yeah.
I'm not there. So I called it on the spot. Um, but yeah, my ex-wife was first, and we had two children together. My oldest one is going to turn 18 in a
Oh
couple months.
wow.
Yeah, my second one just turned 16, and they're both amazing. All three of them are amazing. In a few
Now,
years,
did you have like any troubles like when you guys broke up? Was there,
yeah.
because your kids are older, so now there's not too much more where you have to deal with any bad karma, if there was any, or whatever it might be.
Well, yeah, I don't know if karma will be the right
Yeah.
comment here, but I've learned a lot from the situation with her that I think has improved in my relationship with my ex-girlfriend. However, to this day, there remains some animosity from her to me. From me to her, it's like, why are you even fighting? Unfortunately, in some cases, what happens when you're in a relationship, including in a marriage, and then you divorce, you lose the opportunity to fix those problems. And suddenly, you're not together trying to fix them. Now, sometimes you become adversarial. Okay? So a lot of that spilled over from our separation process. And it still happens to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. What about how long did it take for after your breakup or your divorce with your ex to get into a new relationship with the
Yeah.
girlfriend?
So I like this about 4 or 5 years or so. Does that make sense? 10, 13. Yeah. It would have been six. It was about 5 years,
Yeah.
4.5 years or so. And the first couple of years, one of the things that I think I did right, and I would recommend to any dad that's going through it, or that eventually goes through the divorce, focus on yourself, and focus on yourself and your growth. Because I luckily, we got separated and we got back together for 3 months. Obviously, it didn't work out. And getting divorced for me was almost like getting divorced a second time, having practiced it the first time. And one of the things that I realized is that it's not a good idea for me to jump into another relationship. I need to take care of myself, focus on my growth, focus on my kids, and focus on my mind being right before I even consider another relationship. Because what happened was I was starting to make mistakes in the dating world, falling in love with the first girl I saw,
Right.
and then realizing a week or a month later that, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Time and time again.
But I
So
mean, 5 years is a quite a long time to, you know what I mean? Like jump back in and start dating again. So I feel like that's a good amount of time.
oh,
Or do you mean after you guys broke up and then you wanted to
no,
jump into another one quickly?
in the
Or
divorce, I'd say probably closer to four. It was between 4 and 5. If you do the math, it's probably about 4.5 years.
yeah,
So we, I like to tell people wait at least 6 months. In my case, I wanted to give myself a year, and somebody said, "No way, you're Latino lover. There's no way you're gonna do that." And I'm like, "Watch this." He remembers. He asked me a year later, like, "Nope, I'm gonna keep on going," because I was. What happened when I got divorced was I decided, okay, I want to get my MBA. So I started working my MBA shortly afterward, about 6 months after I got officially divorced, and so that was 3 years of education, and I wanted to be focused. And then after that, between work, focusing on my kids, I'm honestly maybe overdoing it. I didn't know how to be in a relationship anymore. I didn't know
right.
how to talk to girls. I had my only long, since the divorce, I hadn't been in a real relationship. And so I was out of practice. So I probably overshot it a little bit. I think 4 to 5 years, if you really focus, that what you're doing, fine. But as far as with the optimal amount of time, I'd say it's probably somewhere between 6 months and 2 years, depending on your situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough these days. I mean, I'm married now, so no dating for me, but it's tough these years. It's like everybody's online, everybody's using the app. You walk into a bar, it's
Yeah.
and it's still tough if you want to go up and talk to a woman. It's not, you know what I mean? It's still like it was back in the day. You're like nervous, do I
Yeah.
go talk to her? What do I say? But even then, most women are on their phones or looking, swiping through apps or
Yeah.
same as men. So it's not the same as it used to be.
Which puts you in an advantageous position. So I actually I refuse to get on apps for a couple
Yeah.
of reasons. Once I got catfished.
Oh God.
And then my ex-girlfriend, I caught her using an app while we were
Oh.
in night together. It was a weird situation. And I
Yeah.
don't know if trauma is the right word, but I was like, I don't like this. I'm just not going to do it. So I bump into an app and I tried it for a few months, and then it reminded me like, this is dumb. The quality is not so good. I'm sure there's higher quality apps and all that you pay for. But I think for those people who are not so shy, who are able to talk one-on-one, actually approaching somebody that you're interested in, as long as you don't overdo it, if you're smooth enough about it, will give you brownie points and bonus points compared to everybody else that's just swiping. So
Right.
I don't,
It'll be such a better connection for sure.
no, 100%.
Yeah.
And a better story.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Did you guys, when you guys got divorced, was there 50-50 custody? What happened with that? Your first marriage?
Well, we went through a couple of rounds. So when we got separated, I didn't know what to do. I was surprised, and I thought that we were going to get back together, which we ultimately did, but only a brief period of time. But initially, she was mandating everything, and I didn't know what to do. So I said, "Oh, let me move out of the house," because she wanted to move out. I said, "No, you stay home. I move out. This is temporary. Let's calm things down." Legally, I didn't realize that was the dumbest thing I could do.
Yes. Not a lot of people know that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So legally, you want to be the one that stays home with the kids and say, no, the kids aren't going anywhere. Like from a legal perspective, that were the case, right? But I was trying to choose the path that's going to get us back together, take away the tension.
Yep.
Left the house. She was saying, and I remember this vividly. We went out. My kids were babies. We went to Macaroni Grill. And suddenly she talks to me about custody after we had a nice meal. And she says, okay, you're going to have the kids twice a week during the weekdays for 2 hours a night. And you're going to have one overnight stay every other weekend. And I'm like, what? What's going on?
That's crazy.
She says, no. Just once a week, you're going to have a couple hours during the weekdays with the kids. And I'm in shock. I don't know what's going on. And what happened then, I actually talked to my family and talked to friends. Most people were telling me, oh, Eduardo or Bracco, depending which part of my family you're, you really, this is an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for you to start a new life, to find somebody else, to go somewhere else. They're girls, they're mama's girls, and they'll love you no matter what because you're their daddy. This is great. And I'm thinking, there's something seems off about this. Like everybody's telling me this, so I guess I should do that. Luckily, I'm very analytical. So I did a bunch of research and I did a bunch of basically about how the impact on children on the different custody situations. And it was clear that it's in the best interest of the kids when both parents are capable, for both parents to be there as much as possible, up to 50-50, both if that can happen, right? So 50-50 was the right answer. And eventually, I was trying to claw back any time that I could get. Eventually, we went to court, and we actually didn't see a judge. We ended up going through a court-mandated counselor, so an alternative mediator, basically a mediator, who instead of sitting with us for an hour, she sat with us for 3 hours.
Wow.
And we agreed on a bunch of different things pretty quickly, and then it came to custody. And this was where it became interesting. So we had reached an agreement on custody, where she was going to have the kids close to 60% of the time. I was going to have them close to 40% of the time. And I wanted 50-50, but my attorney said, this is what's, likely going to happen if we take this to court, take it, this is good, you're still in their lives, you can get a lot of the decision-making side of things. So I wanted to say, okay, I follow my attorney's advice, even though I didn't think that was exactly best for the kids. It seemed like it was going to be an uphill battle otherwise.
Yeah.
So we had an agreement. We go to the court-mandated counselor. Then my ex-wife says, so the counselor says, okay, have you guys agreed on that custody situation? I said, yes, we have. And my ex-wife says, no, we haven't. I'm confused.
Yeah.
And the counselor says, okay, well, Mr. Rios, what do you think the agreement is? And I told her, okay, during the weekdays, during the weekends, this is the arrangement, 60-40 split, approximately blah, blah, blah. She turns to mom and she says, okay, mom, well, do you agree to that? No. Okay. Do you reach an agreement? No. Okay. What do you think the agreement should be then? What he said, but one day more with mom and one day less with dad. And the counselor, still looking at her, said, okay, why? And then mom said, because I like to spend more time with them, because me this, because I that, because me this, because I that. The counselor turned back to me and she said, so Mr. Rios, what do you hear? In her response, said, well, I heard a lot about her focusing on what her needs are as opposed to what's in the best interest of the kids. And the counselor told me, I agree.
Yeah.
And she turned back to mom and said, it just so happens, I live in Arizona, that in Arizona, laws are changing. We have, and I happen to be one of the doctors or the legal, the counselors that is in charge of that change, where we have found that it's in the best interest of the children, what I just said about having a 50-50 schedule. And then, so she told that to mom, and then she turned back to me and she said, okay, in a perfect world, what would be your ideal schedule? And I told her a detailed schedule, 50-50 with these days and why on these days, so my whole logic. And ultimately why? I said, because it's in the best interest of the kids. And she said, okay. And then the counselor actually went to court, or went to the judge, recommended to the judge a 50-50 schedule exactly with the dates and the times and everything that I had given.
Well, and that's what they want to see too, is they want to see that you have a plan, like either it's your side or her side. Like if she had a written down schedule, it shows that you're putting in effort. And the other thing is like a lot of women feel like they have the control and that's all they need. They don't need to follow the law. They don't really, they're not looking after the interests of the kids, in your situation, the girls. And it's like a lot of the dads that I talk to, that's what they think about. They think about their kids. They're not thinking about them. They're not thinking about being selfish. They're thinking about like, what is literally the best option for these kids to moving forward.
Exactly.
And it seems like women it's not the same.
Yeah. And to all you mama bears, I know there's women who do it the way you're saying the dads do it. There's dads that are not as good. There's all sorts of
Of
situations,
course.
right? But
Yeah.
largely what I have seen, including in my two situations, is what you're saying. I think the women have this innate sense of I'm the mom, the child came out of my womb.
Yes.
Biologically, this is my child, and I have this additional power and control over the situation, right? So, whereas what psychologists are learning is 50-50 is what's best for the kids, especially when the parents are good parents, So in some, if or in some cases, the father would be the better person. According to my biased opinion, in some cases, I think I would be the better person to take care of the kids, for example.
Right.
But that's a biased opinion, of course.
Yeah, the tough thing is it's happening more and more. More people are getting divorced. This is the norm now. It's hard for parents to stay together. So, in the long run, down the road, in 10, 15 years, like, what is it going to look like? I mean, definitely the laws are changing. I do live in a 50-50 state, but it took me 6 years to I just got 50-50 after, a bunch of drama and alienation. And the funny thing is the whole time I'm sitting there like, let's just make our own schedule. Like, we don't need to bring this to court. We don't need to spend money. Like, let's just do this, best interest for the girl. I have 2 girls. So I'm like, the best interest for the girls. And it wasn't even about the best interest for the girls. It was just, you're going to listen to me and I'm going to tell you the schedule. These are my kids. It's very tough.
And if you try to do the same thing, then you get in trouble.
Right. And then when you go through the court system, and it sucks because it's like you're just dragging through the court system. In my case, it took years. And it's just so frustrating. But you have to, I guess you have to go through it for sure. So
yeah, I mean, there are cases where they can talk amongst themselves. I like to say things with my ex-girlfriend were quote unquote smoother. It was definitely less fighting because I learned from my divorce, but I wouldn't say that it was more wholesome necessarily, and it's still in progress.
Now, do all 3 kids get to see each other like on your time, or is it like split?
Yeah. So for me, it's super important that they spend as much time as possible with each other. It's also important, obviously, that I spend as much time as possible with them. My youngest one, who's now 8, her mom moved to Tucson. So I'm in Phoenix, in Tucson, a place 2 hours away from me, within less than a month before giving birth.
Oh,
to where her parents live. At her dad's recommendation. I actually was winning the court case to keep the legal system here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because I was, out of the goodness of my heart, truly, I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to avoid the fights and all that. I said, let's remove this from the court. My attorney said, well, at least put it on pause so that if you had to come back, everything, you just keep going from where you left off.
Yep, picks up.
And I said, no. I know what happens because I learned this from my marriage is the moment you have all this legal stuff hanging over your head, it's going to create some additional stresses and it's going to create an additional animosity and mistrust. I want to completely remove it. Now, that's a naive, unfortunately, perspective and one that I paid for because I was trying to do the best for the whole situation. My ex-girlfriend instead filed in Tucson some months afterward, and at that point, it was an uphill battle for me.
Because then you go with their rules and regulations.
Their rules,
whatever that is.
And they're saying, they're in charge. She lives in Tucson, this and that and the other, and it was, I would have told the previous version of myself that, as much as I was trying to do the right thing and avoid animosity, that's so much of a missed opportunity with my daughter spending time with her sisters. With that being said, what I do is during the school year, the weekends that I'm together with the kids, I make sure I'm together with all 3 of them, so they have that time together. During the weekdays, only in the summers, I try to set up My ex-wife is really difficult when it comes to coordinating summers. My ex-girlfriend is a lot easier so long as, it's hard to get more time out of her. That's the only problem. Other than that, it's a lot more smooth.
Now, how old is your
My youngest?
I don't want to say newborn, but your youngest?
8. She's 8.
Oh, 8. Okay, yeah.
I don't have a newborn, do I?
No, when you were saying newborn, I didn't realize that it's been 8 years since that time. So,
you're making me nervous. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, because I mean, like some families, when you have, because your other 2 children are older, so were they accepting to when you had another daughter, their half sister?
Yeah, I would say they embraced her pretty quickly, pretty immediately.
Yeah,
It was,
that's awesome.
Initially, it was. It was. I felt like it was work for me to ensure that they had that connection, but now it's. I can see that it's very wholesome between them, and it's pretty sweet to see it.
Yeah, and with like child support stuff, are you paying all 3?
No, I'm actually not paying any of them. So,
oh, really? Because of 50-50?
So with my oldest 2, I have 50-50, and we had similar incomes. With my youngest one, mom is doing the school year right now, and this is not what I want. It's more or less being imposed on me. So, but she does have more time with my daughter. But we had an agreement, and we have been writing some time ago that I was going to write her a check, one-time lump sum, and then she wasn't going to ask me for money beyond that. So she asked me for the amount. I wrote her a check. She asked me for a little bit more. So I said, fine, here you go. And we called it a day. So far she's honored it. But I actually received a little bit of a threat from her a few days ago because I was asking for more time with my daughter. It's funny how that works. It's sad.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's like if your kid needs like, the norm, like, oh, I need money for, basketball camp or, you know what I mean? Like, ski club or something like that. It's you're not going to fight that. I'm not going to fight that. It's like, but if you're asking me for 10 grand, you know what I mean? Because you want more money, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I know that that's a risk that she would not honor her word. And,
right.
And I don't know if she's trying to take me to court, so she takes me to court. That's a risk. However, I'm actually making less money than her right now, so I'm not sure that she would be winning from a financial angle. I don't think she would win, period, because I do want more time with my daughter, and I do feel like things are peaceful as long as I don't push back. And every time that we text and I say one more time, she goes to phone call because she doesn't want it in writing.
She doesn't want it on record, right?
On record. Every time.
And that's actually a very important thing. I turned into an investigator with my whole situation. It's like, you, as a man, or I don't know, I mean, maybe just a good guy. Yeah. I was so nice, and I was just being so nice to her and being like, oh, she's not going to screw me over. She's not going to do this to me. And then she started doing those things. And I'm like, holy shit. So I started emailing, and she'll call me. I won't even pick up the phone. I'll text her or I'll email her and be like, hey, what's up? Just so everything is written down on text, on paper. And it sucks that that's how it has to be. But it's like, I've been burned so many times already. So it's like, I've learned, if you think you might trust them, no.
And that's the sad truth. At the end of the day, they've consulted attorneys, whether they tell you or not. And there's a strategy behind what they do. And they force things. Yes, it's because they're mama bears and all that fun stuff. But it's also because it's in their best interest. If you don't push back, then they're gonna have a leg up on you. So it's tough because you want to do the best thing for the sake of your children, and you want to do the best thing for the sake of the whole situation. And that's what I try to do. So, a personal faith, I pray over it. I try to do the right thing. And sometimes, my thought process, I have conflicting thoughts about it. So it's, at the end of the day, you want to guide yourself by what you think is the best interest of your kids, always. And you have to be honest with yourself, because let's say you're a drug addict, or let's say you don't have the means to give them a good place to live, and they're raggedy and all that if they are with you, but their mom's situation is much better, then you have to be realistic and say, okay, maybe we need to negotiate something else. You have to be open to you with yourself about that. But if you're able to give them the time, the attention, the focus, the love that they need, then it's really important for them, even if they cannot vocalize it, that you're involved as much as possible in their lives. And if that means pushing back, sometimes it means pushing back. And that's where, being nice like you and I, unfortunately doesn't pay off. And, or usually, sometimes it does, and great for the people that it does. But the moment the mother starts saying, oh, not on text, let's get on the phone, or the moment she starts taking away time with the kids or not permitting you to spend more time with the kids, that's an issue. That's an issue.
Yeah.
And you need to consider pushing back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you kind of answered it just a minute ago, but I'm going to ask you anyways. But if there's some advice you can give to dads out there, what would it be?
Well, two things. One, always put your children first, no matter what. And do not talk about, I guess three things. Do not talk bad about mom. Even if you hate mom, or even if you're angry at mom, don't ever talk bad about mom. And finally, seek legal advice. We're in parenting groups, and I see mix of advice and all this stuff. I think, oh, these guys are smart, these guys are spot on. Then I hear some stuff that I go, oh my gosh, what is this guy thinking? This is not the right advice, at least from what I've learned with my attorneys. So seek legal advice, even if you don't have financial means to hire the top-notch attorney. There are still pro bono options. You can go to the court usually, and you can ask for if there is any pro bono attorneys. Usually the attorneys that just got their degree and need to get more clients under their belt may do some work pro bono for you to help you get started if you don't have the financial means.
Yeah, that's awesome. And with that too, it's like, as shitty as it is, but educate yourself as well.
100%.
On all of that stuff, so you really understand what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a shitty process, but when you have a newborn, or you have 1, 2, 3 years old, you're in court until they're 18. So you have a long road ahead of you, especially if you're fighting with your ex or whatever. So yeah, definitely understand the legal system as much as you can. I mean, obviously, I would suggest getting an attorney for sure. A lot of people want to do it by themselves, or they don't think they need it, but getting an attorney is worth it. So
100%. Even if the mom says, she's doing it by herself, she may very well have an attorney, helping, guiding her on her actions. So at the very least, even if you want to seem like you're nice and everything, obviously be nice, but have an attorney guiding you, even if the attorney is not on record. Because, this is the kids' lives. Never mind, yeah, of course, it's your lives too. But it's in the kids' lives, and it's going to impact them. Whatever decisions you take or the court takes is going to impact them until they're at least 18.
Yep. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for jumping on the podcast. Do you want to plug your thing?
Oh, well, I guess I can tell you a little bit of a different angle. So I'm a financial coach, right? So if you follow me on Instagram at Bracco Financial, that's Bracco Financial, you'll see that I'm posting some stuff. I'm not the best when it comes to social media, but I would like to think that I'm really good at what I do, which is basically work on financial transformation. I have two groups that I'd like to particularly focus on. One is single dads, and two is Latino professionals. So it's the financial side of divorce, separation, child support, the kids and all that. It's important that you plan, that you strategize before it happens, while it's happening, and after it happens. And if you talk to a financial advisor, their focus is on selling you products. If you talk to a financial planner, their focus is on guiding you a little bit to get to your retirement goals and then to sell you products. If you talk to a true financial coach and you have to check that they're not selling products, that they just do the service, then that's somebody who's going to build a strategy with you, help you grow financially, help you maximize your financial potential. And, that's so critical. And the sooner that you do it, the more of an impact it's going to have in your life. And I'll tell you, working with single dads for me is particularly gratifying as a single dad, because I understand, a lot of the difficulties that we have to go through in the process, right? So it's a fun journey. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me at Bracco Financial or braccofinancial@gmail.com if you have any questions.